Well, hello. I'm Sakari, a very nice boy from Oulu. I'm a data geek or an information thinker. I'm here to talk about information as already was mentioned there earlier. Or actually, to be more precise, trustworthiness of information. So we're living in a digital era and we have created already a humongous dependency on the information our business processes are running on. So we're automatizing pretty much everything there is to automatize, or at least we will automatize everything we can automatize. So it creates a humongous expectation on the correctness and validity of the data. So we have to trust that it's doing the job that it's supposed to be doing. Rather than going to a detailed lecture and rant, I'll tell you a story about how this might manifest itself in real life. Once upon a time, as all great stories start, there was a company, not maybe the biggest company there is in the world, not though the smallest, wasn't that much unlike your company. They had an IT department, which was run by Bob, a long-time veteran of IT things, and he was also responsible of the security of the systems and IT risks that the company had. He was doing a great job. He knew the system landscape like the back of his hand. And then there was also Jane, who was responsible of the compliance. So she was the one who had created the magnificent reporting framework they had, which she was quite proud of. It was delivering accurate reports, and there was absolutely no doubt whether the operation was legal or not. So they fulfilled all the regulation they were being responsible to make. Also, then there was Matt, who was a business unit leader, and he was like really good at what he did. The business was booming. All the KPIs he was following were on the red side. On the green side. Red is bad, green is good. And it seemed like he's gonna get a hefty bonus this year, which means obviously like nice Christmas presents for the wife and kids, and maybe a new car or something like that. So business was running great. There hadn't been like security breaches to be noted of, like for a time that no one couldn't even remember when was the last time that something bad had happened. Jane also was doing on the compliance side like really great job. No problems with the compliance stuff. And as I already mentioned, like business was booming. Matt was doing his job excellently. However, there was something behind the scenes happening, which wasn't really on anyone's radar. One day Bob came to the office and while having his morning coffee, his go-to guy in all data-related issues, a database administrator, had during some routine maintenance operations stumbled upon a fishy-smelling set of data in the databases and invited Bob to have a look at what does this actually mean. It seemed like someone had been tampering with the information that was in the databases, so that it was still technically valid, but didn't anymore do the job that it was supposed to be doing. It might have been that invoices had been sent out with too long payment terms, or deliveries had been delivered to wrong delivery addresses for a time, or even money had been sent to wrong bank accounts in invoices. The thing was that, okay, this happens every now and then. The problem here was that it had been going on for quite a while. So there had been tiny changes in the information for a long period of time, and excuse my French, shitload of money was lost. And this kind of situation isn't that abnormal in today's world. We are dependent on the information, and our processes are dependent on the information. And when something goes wrong, we don't usually have the capability of reacting it when it happens. Well, obviously, they started to investigate. An investigation was launched that what had happened. Security side, IT guys did their part. They didn't find any trace of any intrusion or bad things happening within the network, or no systems were broken, or no interface was like attacked at any point of time. They didn't, or they weren't capable of saying where this had come from. All the compliance reports were like quite okay. This had happened in an area where they didn't have visibility on the detail level of information. It wasn't a regulated area, so everything was still legal, though not that nice from the company's perspective. Business was growing all the time. There hadn't been any drastic change on any of the relevant KPIs that they were following. Well, obviously, when business grows, there might be some rebates or some tiny problems with the deliveries or something like that, but nothing that would change the KPIs Matt was following. Nevertheless, this was a pretty embarrassing situation, which affected all the parties that took part in the company's activities. It affected everyone. Well, obviously. It's quite embarrassing when you do bad work for half a year without noticing it. But it would have been practically impossible for any one of these persons to find out the reason why this happened just from their own perspective. Because it had happened in the business context of the data, so information. Obviously, it would have been like really nice to notice this when it happened and not 6 months after. It could have been that there was some technical problems in the integration interfaces, so data was corrupted in the transfers. It could have been that some malevolent spirit from the outside world had like snaked its way to the company's IT systems and manipulated the information with like proper credentials. It might have been that the people who usually did their work quite well, business was thriving. They were good at what they were doing, but mistakes happen. People do mistakes every now and then. They might have unintentionally mixed the data up. And then, of course, there's also the option that this was done by some discontent old employee who had deliberately manipulated the information so that it didn't anymore function as it was supposed to. But obviously, this is a happy story, so we don't need to consider that option. So, they had a problem in their hands. How could have they prevented it, or how would they prevent it from happening ever again? Because this is something that didn't show up on reports, something that wasn't detectable by technology or means of monitoring your IT landscape. What Matt, Jane, and Bob did, they launched an initiative to map their processes, the information that's fueling the process. Set up some triggers to relevant points in the process, the long life cycles of data, so that next time when something like this happened, they would notice it in maybe days or even minutes or seconds. Right away when something goes wrong, when the process doesn't anymore do what it's supposed to be doing. This is something that I want to say to you, that now that we're living in this digital era, it's not anymore a question whether your IT landscape is working as it should be working. It's not a question whether your KPIs are showing what they're supposed to be showing, so the green color, you remember red is bad, green is good, or whether your operations are on sound legal basis. This is a game of information, and you have to understand the information, how it's relevant to your business, like on a very detailed level, if you want your automated process to be working as they're supposed to be working. So, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is check up on your information. Be in a very, 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 very good understanding on how it should be working, and do it in real time, so your processes work as they're supposed to be working, on right fuel. It doesn't matter if you have a nice Ferrari in your garage if you don't have fuel for it, or someone pours water in the tank. It doesn't work as it's supposed to be working. So, 10 minutes is a short time, and my monitor here is red, which means a bad thing, as I've already told you. So, in case you want to hear maybe a bit more detailed stories about this, because this story, the names were changed, but the story was a bit more true than any one of us might want to believe. So, I can tell you more stories, maybe a bit detailed stories there on the stand. Thank you.